Guys, it's me, Mum. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is a bit of a different video today because I know a lot of people don't really like reading, and some people prefer books to be read from them. Now, some of you might be young, some of you might be old, but I'm going to be reading The Day I Fell Into a Fairy Tale by Ben Miller. Now, this book is about a girl called Lana, and ages ago, her brother Harrison, when he was younger, they used to go out and play games every single day. But now that he's got older and he's in senior school, he doesn't like to play games. So, to cheer Lana up, she went into her mum's bedroom, sprayed perfume on her, and then she heard her mum. So she started rushing to try and put the perfumes back because her mum doesn't let her. She sprayed it in her eye, and her mum came in, and Lana pretended to cry. So now they are at this supermarket that no one knew about was being built. And now her mum has took Lana into that supermarket so that it can cheer her up, but it wasn't there. Like, you couldn't even see them building it. And now Lana, as a treat, her mum said that she can go into the shop and get herself a book. So Lana tried to find a book, and this weird old man came up to her and was hiding a fairy tale book from her. What's the big deal? It's just a fairy tale. Now let's get into the video. Whoa, wait, before we get into today's video, we are going to do a like, subscribe, and notification bell challenge. All we've got to do is press all of them buttons in 5 seconds. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Did you do it? If you did, give yourself a pat on the back. Let's actually get started. Beware, at the end of the video, I'm going to be giving one of you guys a post notification shout out. If you want a chance to get one of them, all you've got to do is press all of them buttons and go on my most recent TikTok and comment that you have done all of them things, and you might be in today's video. I'm actually going to be giving one of you a shout out, so let's get started. Let me just get the book. This is what it looks like if you want to go and get it. Now, I've already started reading it, but we're just going to start again. And now they're at the till paying it. So, I'm sorry, asked Lana's mother. What difference does that make? These fairy tales are not suitable for a young 9 and an old 9, maybe. I see, said Lana's mother, who really didn't like being told what she could or could not do by anyone, let alone a stranger. She opened the book and skimmed the contents page. Oh yes, she said, smiling. I used to love these stories when I was little. We'll take them, please. As you wish, madame, said the little old man. But don't say I didn't warn you. That'll be 17 pence. Lana's mother looked at him blankly. But with your introductory discount, he said, with a breezy smile, I can do it for 11. Once Lana and her mother had left the supermarket, the old man grinned to himself one more, and if you want an adult to buy something, he muttered, make it cheap. Guys, I think we're going on to we're on chapter 3 now. And let me know in the comments if you guys want me to do more videos like this. Look how bouncy you guys are. I'll try and put you guys down here. There we go. Right. Let's carry on from chapter 3. And also, the old man didn't want her to see the fairy tale book. So, he gave Lana a different book, but now he's saying that she can't have it because she's too young. So that man's a bit suspicious, but I feel like it has something to do with a fairy tale. Question of the day, are you guys enjoying the book so far? Chapter 3. Will you read to me? Lana asked that evening as her mother was tucking her into bed. From my new book of fairy tales? Of course, said her mother after she finished sneezing. Let's take a look at what we have. There's Hansel and Gretel. That's about a little boy and a little girl who get lost in the forest and find a house made out of sweets. That's so lucky, said Lana. I'd love to find a house like that. Oh, well, that's what Hansel and Gretel thought, only it was a trap. A trap? Lana's eyes widened. The house belongs to a witch, and then the children tried to eat the sweets. She catches them, and they discovered to their horror that, Lana's mother's voice trailed away. That's what? Asked Lana. That she wants to eat them, replied her mother briskly. It's a little bit of a scary story, so maybe let's not read Hansel and Gretel. How about this one? Rumpelstiltskin. Rumple what? Asked Lana. Rumpelstiltskin. Here, there's a picture of him. Lana's mother turned the book round so Lana could take a look. There, on the page, was an old-fashioned picture of a familiar figure. My parents called me a Grumpelstiltskin instead of Rumpelstiltskin. So instead of my parents calling me Rumpelstiltskin, they call me Grumpelstiltskin when I'm in a mood. Because I get mood swings now. I'm getting older, you know, like most people getting older. You know who you are. Anyways, let's carry on. Where are we?
This is a royal salute which incorporates the 21 rounds.
Oh, I know where we are. That's the man from the supermarket, Lana's mother smiled. I suppose it does look a bit like him, doesn't it? It's not like him, pressed Lana. It is him. Of course, dear, said her mother dismissively. Anyway, here he is, spinning straw into gold. Who's the girl? Asked Lana. The miller's daughter, said her mother. From what I remember of the story, her father told the king that she could spin a straw into gold, which was a lie. He was just showing off. So the king locks the miller's daughter in a room full of straw and says if she hasn't spun it all into gold by the morning, then he'll, her mother's voice trailed away again. What will he do? Asked Lana. Kill her, said her mother. Kill her? Yes. Her mother was beginning to wonder if the man at the till had been right and the stories weren't suitable for Lana after all. Look, maybe we should find a different book to read tonight, something a bit nicer. What happened to the miller's daughter? Asked Lana. Well, said her mother reluctantly, after the king has gone, Rumpelstiltskin appears and offers to spin all the straw into gold for the girl if she gives him her necklace. So she agrees and he spins all the straw into gold, but the next morning the king is so impressed to see all the gold that instead of letting the girl go, he locks her in a bigger room with even more straw in it and tells her to do it again. Does the little old man come back? Yes, he does, and he helps again, this time in return for a ring. Yes, that's right, a ring. And then, does the king let her go? No. Actually, her mother started to look a bit uncomfortable again. He locks her in an even bigger room with an absolute massive amount of straw and tells her to do it again. This time she has nothing to give the little old man, so he asks for her. First, born child in return, said her mother, flicking through the pages. This isn't the nicest of stories either. Are you sure you don't want another book? No, these all sound much more exciting than the things we usually read. What about the story? Asked Lana, pointing at a picture of a beautiful girl asleep on a bed with roses growing all around her. Sleeping Beauty. It's Sleeping Beauty. Let me know what your favourite movie is. Let's see what it says next. That's Sleeping Beauty. Magic. Sleeping Beauty, said her mother. You must know that one. Lana shook her head, because she didn't. That was one of my favourites when I was little. I don't think it's scary. Not that. I can remember anyway. It sounds lovely. Please can we read it? Asked Lana. All right, said her mother. I suppose we can read a little and see if it's suitable. And this. Well, this is pretty much what she read. So now they are describing what she read. I don't know how long it goes on for. Okay, so there's quite a lot of pages of what she read. So we're not starting another story. This is just what what are you doing? Look, Kiki. Are you satisfied with you? Oh no, she wants to go. Kiki, stop. Right. So this is the book Sleeping Beauty that she's reading to Lana, so this is just what it says. Once there was a king and a queen who very much hoped for a baby, but hope as they might, no baby came. Soon they began to lose heart and boost themselves with hobbies instead. The king organised archery competitions whilst the queen took up wild swimming. One day when the queen was swimming in the castle moat, a strange red-eyed frog hopped out of the water and onto the bank. "Great news," chirruped the frog, "before the year is out. You and the king will have a child. Her name will be Briar Rose, and she will be everything your hearts desire." The frog, it seemed, was right, because several months later the royal couple had a most beautiful baby girl. The king and the queen were so happy that they decided to hold a feast to show Briar Rose off to the world. They invited only the most important people in the kingdom, including the 13 fairies. Now, as everybody knows, fairies only eat off gold plates, but as they were writing the invitations, the king realised they only had 12 gold plates and no time to get another, so instead of inviting all 13 fairies, he only invited 12. Soon the day of the party came, and after dinner each of the fairies came forward to give Briar Rose a gift. "Darling Briar Rose," said the fairy, "I shall give you beauty." "Briar Rose already has beauty," said the second fairy, "so I shall give her wit." There were so many fairies that soon they were running out of gifts. "Your baby already has beauty, wit, charm, grace, humility, bearing, exceptional leadership, skills, excellent hand-eye, coordination, an ear for music, a refreshing lack of self-pity, and great hair," said the 12th fairy. "So I shall give—" "Stop right there!" boomed a voice, and everyone turned to see the 13th fairy in the doorway, looking very angry indeed. "A little bird told me you were having a party with me. She sneered at the king and queen, and what do you know? It's true." The king tried to explain, but the 13th fairy did not wish to hear excuses. Her brown furrowed, her upper lip snarled, and her eyes glowed as red as burning coals. Her black cloak billowed behind her, and she began to rise up, growing taller and taller until she almost reached the ceiling. It was a terrified sight. "Are you reading? Are you listening to me read?" "Oh, you cheeky pie." My dog's listening to me read, so... Oh, right, where are we? Okay, right. "And her eyes glowed as red as a burning coals. Her black cloak billowed behind her, and she began to rise up, growing taller and taller until she almost reached the ceiling. It really was a terrifying sight. "Hoping gifts are you," she roared. "Well, here's mine. On her 13th birthday, Briar Rose will prick her finger on a spindle and die." And before anyone could stop her, she changed into a large red-eyed frog, then leaped out of the window. For a moment, no one knew quite what to say. Then the queen burst into tears. I went to Butlins and watched a movie of this, so it's really good. If you ever go to Butlins, if they have it, you must watch it. How many minutes are we on? 13 and 21, 22, 23 seconds. And yeah. Today's post notification goes out to Nanda D. Salsa, I think. I don't know what your name is, but well done. You subscribed to my YouTube channel today or yesterday. I don't know. You may not have done all of the things, but if you're subscribed, that's the main thing. Okay? So, hang on. Let me just see your name a minute. Nanda D. Salsa. This your shout out. Now let's carry on with the story. Sorry, I'm just trying to get comfy. Right. "Hoping for gifts are you?" she roared. "Well, here's spindle and die." And before anyone could stop her, she changed into a large red-eyed frog, then leapt out of the window. For a moment, no one knew quite what to say. Then the queen burst into tears. "Darling daughter," she wept, "what will become of you?" But luckily the 12th fairy had yet to give her gift. She had been going to give a remarkable ability to find lost socks, as that was pretty much all that was left. But now she saw her chance to do some good. "I think I can help," she said. The 13th fairy's magic is very strong, so I can't remove fairy's magic. It's very strong, so I can't remove the curse, but I can soften it a little. On her 15th birthday, Briar Rose will indeed prick her finger on a spindle, but she will not die. Instead, she will fall asleep for 100 years. Thank you, interrupted the Queen with joy. What good is that? Said the King. 100 years. When she wakes, we will all be dead. If you'll let me finish, said the 12th fairy. When Briar Rose falls asleep, so will everyone else in the palace. What? Exclaimed the King. Everyone? Yes, said the 12th fairy. Then when she awakes, she will all wake with her. You think there's going to be anything left of this place after 100 years? Spluttered the King. This tablecloth alone is worth 80 ducats. That wall hanging is worth 500. Everything will be stolen. The place will be overrun with thieves. I'll be lucky to wake up with my breeches on. Ah, I've thought of that too, said the 12th fairy, who was, to be fair, getting a little impatient as being constantly interrupted. As soon as the castle falls into its slumber, a giant wall of thorns will be all around it, protecting you all from anyone who tries to enter. Seriously, asked the King, that's the best you can do. I'm sorry, said the 12th fairy tartly. If someone's got a better idea, I'm eager to hear it. Let's not anger another fairy, darling, the Queen said to her mother. One bad spell is quite enough to be going on with. The King harumphed and folded his arms, but said nothing more. Thank you so much for helping us, the Queen said to the 12th fairy. We gratefully accept your gift. Oh, pleasure, said the 12th fairy, still feeling slightly put out. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, muttered the King begrudgingly. But I intend to make sure Briar Rose doesn't prick her finger in the first place. From this moment forth, by royal decree, all spindles are banned. Each and every one of them must be destroyed. So that's it right there. Must be destroyed. And now that's the story finished. What's a spindle? Asked Lana, looking up from the book. It's a pointy stick, basically, for spinning yarn, said her mother. That's yarn. Thread, for making clothes. So if the King banned spindles, does that mean nobody had any clothes? I'm not sure. Anyway, I think that's probably enough reading for one night. But what happened? Protested Lana. Did it work? Banning spindles. I mean, Lana, go to sleep. You can hear the rest at bedtime tomorrow. And with that, her mother closed the book, tucked Lana under the covers, kissed her on the cheek, and turned out the bedside light. Chapter 4. Sorry, Kiki, did I interrupt you? So this is the author, Ben Miller. So he probably has some more books.
Times in a pandemic, but difficult times there have been recently in recent months for the royal family.
This is a very long chapter.
Your thoughts on that?
We'll read a few more. I'll read until it is time for me to go. I just need to check the time. So I'm going out with my mate today, so that's why. Now let's carry on reading chapter 4. I'm just gonna put my legs up because my legs are really I've got a really bad foot and I have a lump on it, and nobody knows whether it's because my bone is out of place or anything. So let's carry on reading. The next morning, Lana woke early with only one thing on her mind. Briar Rose, now that the 13th fairy had cursed her, the King had banned spindles. She just had to know what happened next. She reached for the book, determined to read it for herself, but her bedside table was empty except for her water glass, and there was no sign of it on her bookshelf either. Mum must have taken it, she thought to herself. She thinks it's too scary for me to read on my own. There was only one thing for it. She was going to have to steal the book back. She's going to steal the book back. That's not a good idea, is it, guys? You don't steal. It's very, very naughty. As quietly as she could, Lana tiptoed across the landing and poked her head round the door to her parents' bedroom. It was empty. She checked under the bed, on top of the chest of drawers, and on the shelves in her mother's clothes cupboard. But there was no sign of the book anywhere. She was about to give up when once again she caught sight of the bottle of enchantment on her mother's dressing table. She couldn't resist. It wouldn't hurt to dab a drop in her wrist. She decided, like she sometimes saw her mother do. Besides, it might take her mind off Briar Rose. Suddenly, she heard her father's voice in the hallway. "Oh my goodness, would you look at these prices?" Once again, Lana scrambled around, trying to put the bottle back, accidentally pressing the nozzle. This time it squirted in her right eye, which immediately began to sweep. "Oh, ow!" she cried, clasping her hands to her face. "Poppet!" cooed her father, entering the room. "What's the matter?" Lana had no choice. She was going to have to pretend to be upset, just like she had with her mother. "Mum's hidden my book," said Lana, looking up at him with streaming eyes. Or rather, one streaming eye and one quite normal. "Oh dear," said her father, scooping up in her arms. "I'm sure she's just put it somewhere safe. Anyway, she's at work. I'm looking after you this morning." Disappointment flooded through Lana. Now she would have to wait a whole day to find out where her mum had hidden her book. And with Harrison busy studying again, another day of boredom stretched out ahead of her. "Never mind," Lana said, her father, producing a leaflet. "Feast your eyes on this. I just found it on the doormat." Her vision was a bit blurry from all the fake eye rubbing, but even so, Lana could just about make out the name at the top. Grimm's. "Look at these prices. 27 bottles of toilet cleaner for the price of 26. 38 tubs of cocktail stick for the price of 37. His eyes lit up at the thought of such bargains. "So, what do you say we go and check it out? It might cheer you up." Lana readily agreed. The strange supermarket, with its equally strange employee, was the most entertaining thing she'd come across for weeks. When Lana and her father arrived at the Grimms a few minutes later, the car parked with almost full to bursting. It seemed that news of the bargain travelled fast. Instead of parking right outside the store, they had to cruise round and round to try and find a space. "These people can't all be from the village," tutted her father. "Haven't they got their own cut price supermarkets to go to?" "Ah!" As he spoke, an overloaded trolley lurched out onto the tarmac, forcing him to slam on the brakes. "Mind where you're going!" "Sorry," called a bearded man from behind a mountain of kitchen roll. "Didn't see you there." "Honestly," said her father under his breath, "did you really need all that?" "Perhaps he saw how cheap it was and couldn't help himself," suggested Lana, but her father didn't seem to pick up on the joke. And that wasn't the only joke he didn't pick up on. As they crawled along the aisles, waiting their turn at the shelves, Lana invented a very funny game. Every time her father paused to study the price on something, Lana would sneak at as much sugary food as she possibly could into the trolley. She risked 2 pints of chocolate milk, family pack of Cocoa Pops, and a bucket of chocolate chip cookies. It was only when he reached the checkout and started putting their shopping on the conveyor belt that her father realised what Lana had been up to. "Where did this chocolate log come from?" he asked accusingly. "And what about this jar of chocolate spread? Maybe the 13th fairy put them in there," said Lana helpfully. "Who?" So she's said that about the 13th fairy had put something in there.
And in fact, here at Windsor Castle this morning, we've been talking about so many members of the public arriving.
Sorry guys, I just got a message. Right. Guys, I thought this was supposed to be a long chapter. Oh, it is. Sadly. I like short chapters. So you want to know what happens next.
Has announced that a memorial will be held following the prince's funeral.
Who? The 13th fairy. She wasn't invited to Briar Rose's party, so she didn't get any sweet treats. Lana's father narrowed his eyes. I see. Is this to do with your book of fairy tales by any chance? Lana nodded, trying not to giggle, but her father wasn't amused. He took a shopping basket from beside the till, began to fill it with Lana's stolen sugar. You need to put these back right now, or there's going to be a consequence. A consequence, as Lana well knew, meant something bad. Like what? She asked. Like no bedtime story, said her father. He seemed to have a second sense of what Lana wanted most. But I want to find out what happens to Briar Rose. Then you better be quick, came the stern reply, which was how Lana found herself dragging a basket full of chocolate bars, cakes, biscuits and cereals around the corner of the pet food aisle, narrowly avoiding an elderly lady on a mobility scooter who swerved wildly, running straight over the toe of the little old man. Oi! He yelled, clasping his foot in pain. He was wearing his maroon boiler suit again, and the moustache he had at the checkout was gone. Watch where you're going, you stupid old bat! The elderly lady seemed not to hear and trundled off down the aisle. Don't be so rude! Exclaimed Lana, shocked at the little old man's reaction. Anyway, it wasn't her fault, it was mine. Ugh, he grunted. I might have known. A smile curled at the corner of his lips. Come to bring the book back, have you? I told you it was too scary. Actually, said Lana defiantly, I'm really enjoying it. Really? He asked, sounding surprised. Which story have you started with? Sleeping Beauty, said Lana. Ooh, he said, smiling again. Where are you up to? Let's carry on. Bring it back in my comfy position.
First of all, for the royal wedding, when Prince Philip...
Ooh, he said, smiling again. Where are you up to? The 13th fairy has cast her curse, and the king has destroyed the spindles. Ah, he said, nodding saggily. That explains it. That's just a setup. You haven't got to the scary bit yet. Well, I'm sure when you do, you'll be bringing that book back all right. And with that, he headed off down towards the toys and games aisle, moving quickly. Lana tracked her basket in the nearby trolley and scurried after him. What scary bit? The little old man turned slowly. You really want to know? Lana nodded. He fished a well-thumbed red leather booklet from the top pocket of his overalls, consulted it, then put it back. May I suggest you try the sherbet lemons? For a moment, Lana couldn't understand what he could possibly mean, but then her eyes came to rest on something truly extraordinary. Smack dab in the middle of the toys were the biggest tubs of pick and mix she had ever seen. Lana frowned in confusion. Pick and mix was one of her favourite things in the whole world, so she couldn't imagine how she had noticed this huge selection yesterday, but there it was, row after row, giant crystal clear tubs, each and every one crammed full of the most delicious looking sweets. She took a step closer. Entranced, she lifted the nearest lid, an entire tub full of pear drops. She could almost feel the sharp crystallized sugar scraping the roof of her mouth. She lifted the next lid, jelly babies. She loved jelly babies. So, if you look at this, they are, these are like all the sweets. So there's like jelly babies, cola bottles, like stuff like that. Found them yet? Grinned the little old man. Grinned the little old man. Lana shook her head. They're at the back. She tried to open the lid, but it was just out of reach. Here, let me lift you up. And before Lana could protest, he reached up under her arm and lifted her towards the lid of the tub. Go on, he urged, straining under her weight. Open it. His sharp hands were digging into her armpits, so Lana quickly lifted the lid. Unlike the other tubs, this one was almost empty. Only a small cluster of sherbet lemons clung to the bottom, like hibernating beetles. Guys, quick fact of the day. Basically, there's something called an oil beetle. It's black and it's really big. So make sure you look out for that, because I saw two in like the past week. Like I saw one on Monday, and I also saw one last week on Wednesday. So make sure you keep your eye out for them. Lovely, she offered. Can I get down now? Try one. Lana leant forward into the tub and tried to loosen a sweep with her finger, but it was no use. Then suddenly she was tumbling forward. The little old man was pushing her into the tub. Hey! Called Lana in alarm. Stop it! But it was too late. She threw out her hands ahead of her to brace her fall, but the bottom of the tub gave away like a trapdoor, and Lana found herself shooting down and round in a smooth walled circular tube. Round and round she slid until suddenly the tube plunged down and down and down into the darkness. Lana found herself shooting down and around in a smooth walled circular tube. Chapter 5. We're going to leave it there today, guys. But if you enjoyed that, make sure you ask for another video because I will be doing this. And I really loved reading this book to you. So I just need to find a bookmark. Sitting on it the whole time, you. See you guys in my next video. Well done, Nanda D. Salsa, for your post notification shout out. Bye.